Hello everyone, welcome to today's live webinar. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you can hear me loud and clear. I'm Michela Fassi, Communication Manager at Milestone, and I'll be your moderator for today's webinar. Today we are here for our live webinar titled How to Perform 7 Laboratory Applications in One Multifunctional Device. Milestone has been in the field since 30 years. Our mission is to reduce patient anxiety by providing pathologists with technologies for same-day diagnostic results. Today, Milestone is proud to offer innovative solutions in 6 different fields: frozen section, cytology, sample handling, tissue processing, macrodigital, and reagents. Before we start, I just would like to ask your attention for a few seconds. In the slides, we summarize the basic functions of the WebEx platform through which we are broadcasting. Your microphone will be muted, but this webinar is intended to be interactive, so we encourage you to ask questions. You can ask questions anytime by typing them in the Q&A box, which is located in the right bottom part of your window. You can use the chat box in order to communicate with the host if you have any problem in viewing or hearing the presentation. There's also the layout icon in the top right corner of your screen, and you can use this icon to adjust your display anytime. There will also be a vertical line dividing the two screens, and you can move this line to the left or to the right in order to make bigger or smaller the screens. The slides will flow automatically during the webinar, and this webinar will be recorded. Now let's take a quick look at today's speakers. The speaker today is Lisa Longaretti, application specialist at Milestone. She has graduated in biomedical laboratory techniques with great experience in histology research and biobank labs. Now I think it's time to start. So Lisa, you have the floor.
Thank you, Michela, for the introduction. Good morning and good afternoon to everybody, and welcome to the Milestone Laboratory. Today is my pleasure to talk about the laboratory application you can do in one single multifunctional device. Let's start. In the pathology laboratory, you perform many different applications in your daily routine, and time is of course an important aspect in your workflow. All the processes and applications should be optimized in terms of time schedule. Also, quality is a fundamental aspect to take into consideration in order to make a correct diagnosis. Also, for many laboratory applications, standard kitchen microwave are used, but they don't have any controls or adequate programs. In fact, standardization is another important aspect to ensure the validity of the methods used, the reliability and the reproducibility of the results. In your lab, you may also need a flexible tool, so you can process different samples according to your specific needs. Finally, we cannot forget about safety, which should be a priority for every laboratory. To answer all these questions, Milestone has designed one multifunctional unit that allow you to perform 7 typical applications in one single multifunctional device. These are gross hardening, fixation, decalcification, processing, antigen retrieval, spatial stains, and electron microscopy processing. Here is our unit. It's called COS in honor of Hippocrates, father of medicine, who was born on the Greek island of Kos. Milestone has designed COS to fasten the times and enhance the quality of the standard applications you usually do in your lab. COS is a semi-automatic device and allows you to run all the 7 applications we have just seen in the previous slide. How it's possible to perform all these applications in just one device? In COS, we use different modules. Each module is designed for a specific application. Now, I will show you one by one these applications in the details. The first application you can do in COS is gross hardening. Most large specimens arrive in the gross room lab unfixed, and they are too fresh and soft to be reduced. Gross hardening is performed to make the tissue sufficiently firm to allow easy handling and dissection. Through this application, the natural color of tissue are maintained. How we do gross hardening in COS unit? The gross specimen is hardened in the COS equipment through microwave heating in gas coagulation of the proteins, while the tissue is immersed in saline solution. In the hardening step, temperature control is fundamental, and the proteins are coagulated but not chemically altered. Microwave hardening in saline is a microwave stabilization. What is the advantage? After hardening, diffusion of fixative is facilitated, thus nucleoproteins are better retained, and staining is more concise with higher contrast. In the slide, you can see the picture of the specific module that we use for gross hardening application. And also here with me, in my hand, you can see the module to perform the gross hardening. As you can see, the tissue is put in this kind of module, and always on the bottom side of the rack, we have the magnetic stirrer. This is fundamental to maintain the homogeneity temperature during the run from the bottom side to the upper side. And now let's move to fixation, which is one of the most common applications in pathology labs. As you know, the main goal of tissue fixation is to preserve cells and tissue components in a lifelike state, and to do this in such a way as to allow for the penetration of film stained sections. For practical purposes, the fixation aims to prevent or arrest the degenerative processes which begin as soon as the tissue is deprived of its blood supply. The fixation stops the autolysis, the bacterial decomposition, the loss and diffusion of soluble substances. You know, fixation is the most important first step of tissue processing. Tissues that are not properly fixed can give bad morphology and processing artifacts. So, before starting the decalcification, dehydration, clearing step, tissue must be correctly fixed. A general rule of fixation time to apply for the rate of penetration is 1 millimeter per hour, and the fixative volume is at least 20 times greater than this tissue volume. So, how we do fixation in COS unit? By using microwave exposure, the fixative can be optimally used and standardization of microscopic results can be achieved. For faster results, COS microwave units have a preset protocols. The microwave time required for each millimeter of thickness is about 10 minutes at 50 degrees. Thanks to COS, I can accelerate fixation times, obtain complete fixation, and standardize fixation even in heterogeneous batches. You can clearly see the difference between good and bad fixation in the picture. Here you can see the specific modules that we have to run a fixation process in COS. There are different modules according to the number of cassettes to be processed. So we have the first little module for 4 cassettes, the second module for 45 cassettes, and the larger module for up to 110 cassettes. Now we move to the decalcification, which is another important common application you can perform in your lab daily routine. As you know, bones are the major structural and supportive connective tissue of your body, and they have an hard and rigid nature due to the inclusion of minerals in osteoid matrix that gives strength and rigidity of the body. Bones consist of 3 major components. There are cells named osteocytes, that they are surrounded by a calcified matrix, and the collagen fibers type 1. Calcium is the form of hydroxyapatite crystals, is located between the fibrous elements, and during the decalcification, we need to dissolve these crystals. Calcium interferes with the normal histologic process and prevents the normal sectioning on the blocks. This is due to the difference in density between calcium and paraffin. Decalcification is performed after fixation, but before tissue processing. Now let's see what's happened in COS. In COS, it's possible to decalcify the bone tissue in short time, maintaining the best morphology for the molecular studies. As shown in the table, DNA and RNA are much better preserved with EDTA, that is chelating reagent, or with weak acid. The most common decalcified solution that contains hydrochloric acid are surely faster, but the quality of DNA and RNA dramatically decreases, so it's not ideal for molecular analysis. Here you can see the specific modules that we have to run in the decalcification process. The same modules you have just seen for the fixation application, so from 4 cassettes up to 100 standard cassettes, plus there are modules for mega cassettes and super mega cassettes. To decalcify multiple samples with different reagents, it's possible to use the multiple decalcifier module. And for the biggest sample, the internal divider module can be used. The further application you can do in COS is tissue processing. This one as well is a very common application for any laboratory. Tissue processing describes the steps required to take human tissue from fixation to to the state where it's completely infiltrated with a suitable histological wax and can be embedded, ready for section cutting on the microtome. In case you want to use COS in your laboratory, also for processing, yes, you can. It's possible to quickly process transplant sample, urgent sample, or routine sample by using different modules. And how about the antigen retrieval application? During the past 25 years, immunohistochemistry has progressed from a technique that was limited to specialized laboratories with strong research backgrounds, to a technique that is commonly performed in most pathology laboratories. The value of immunohistochemistry is due to the power of this procedure to recognize and localize specific proteins, markers, within a tissue specimen. A variety of heating sources, including microwave, vegetable steamer, pressure cooker, and water bath, have all been used successfully for the antigen retrieval. The temperature achieved by the sources is a critical factor in the antigen retrieval process. In general, the higher is the temperature of the antigen retrieval solution, the more effective is the recovery of the epitope. The streamer, water bath, and microwave usually produce temperature in 94 degrees to 100 degrees range, while pressure cookers are capable of generating temperatures of 110, 120 degrees. All the instruments that you have in your laboratory already have protocols with antigen retrieval on board. But for some types of antibodies, it's necessary to perform the antigenic unmasking at very high temperature. COS allow you to reach this temperature in short time with the dedicated modules. As you can see, the dedicated COS module for antigen retrieval, both in the picture and here with me. Let's now consider another typical laboratory application. The term spatial stain has long been used to refer to a large number of alternative staining techniques that are used when the hematoxylin endeosine does not provide all the information the pathologist or research needs. While many larger laboratories do use automatic instruments for the more common stains, they still have an area for hand staining. How we can do the spatial stain in COS? There are many automatic stainers on the market, but having the COS for other application is a valid alternative. In COS, you will find preset protocols that are complete with all steps, the steps you need to perform inside and outside the unit, and guarantee operator independent and consistent results with dedicated module. Here with me, you can see the specific module we use for the spatial stain. When doing spatial stain, time is of course an important aspect. Several time-consuming staining procedures are enhanced by microwave irradiation, as shown in this table. Last but not least, let's consider the electron microscopy application. Electron microscopy is a technique for obtaining high-resolution images of biological specimens. It's used in biomedical research to investigate the detailed structure of tissues, cells, organelles, and macromolecular complexes. Electron microscopy images provide key information on the structural basis of cell function and of cell disease. The conventional process to prepare the sample takes up 3 days. And now let's see this application in COS. In COS, it's possible to process the sample in 4 hours, polymerization included, with dedicated kit. There are modules, preset programs for different kinds of resins. And these slides summarize the 7 typical applications that you can perform with the COS unit. Here with me, you can see the COS unit with all different modules. As we have seen during this webinar, there are different specific modules for each application. And with this, I conclude, and I really do hope that my demonstration has been clear and useful for everybody. Now I'm ready for answering your questions.
Thank you, Lisa. Now I'm reading the question that I collected so far. About the tissue processing, can you also include the paraffin?
Yes. Yes, of course. Also the paraffin is included in the tissue processing in COS. So to perform the tissue processing, the sample before are fixed. The sample in the COS you perform the dehydration, the clearing, and after this step you can use this dedicated module to perform the wax impregnation. As you can see in this module, we have a gray disc that is composed by graphite, and thanks to this disc, I can maintain, I can keep the wax. During the wax impregnation, thanks to the cover, the excess of clearing reagent can go out, and in this way we can obtain the best wax impregnation.
Thank you, Lisa. Another question is this one. Which kind of samples can I decalcify with the COS?
With the COS, it's possible to decalcify the sample contained in the standard cassettes, in the mega cassettes, or in the super mega cassettes. With COS, it's possible also to decalcify the biggest specimen, the biggest bones. If you use this kind of module, the internal divider, it's possible to insert one big bone tissue, or with this tool, I can divide in 2 sides or 4 parts the cavity, and in this way I can decalcify up to 4 different samples. Another module that you can use for the decalcification is the multiple decalcifier module. As you can see here, is composed by different vessels, and in each vessel you can insert the sample with also different reagents. In this way, you can decalcify in the same time different samples with different decalcifier reagent, avoiding the cross-contamination. As you can see, always we have the magnetic stirrer to maintain the homogeneity, the temperature from the bottom side to the upper side. And this is a short introduction of decalcification. And if you are interested in the complete demonstration of decalcification or other application, please contact us for a virtual demonstration.
Okay, let's read another question now. What is the advantage of doing fixation in the COS?
So, the advantages by doing fixation in course, there are more advantages. If you want to speed up the fixation thanks to the microwave irradiation, it's possible to perform the fixation in short time. And also you can perform a complete fixation, especially for breast tissue, fatty tissue, the more difficult tissue and samples, you are sure to perform the complete fixation in course in short time. And also when you have an heterogeneous batches, you can perform a complete fixation for each samples.
Okay, we have a few other questions. So one question says, can you explain again how you do the spatial stains?
The spatial stain, to perform it in course, you have to use this kind of module. This module contains up to 16 slides. So, as you see, the shape of each of our module, this is the shape of the base of our module. This is important to allow the correct position of the rack inside of the coarse cavity. This is important to maintain the sample in the correct position and to allow the correct reading of the sensor for the temperature. And also, during the run, it's possible to check what's happening inside of the cavity by watching this camera, this screen. This screen, you can see what's happening during a run. And on board, we have a preset protocol for the different kind of spatial stain. And these protocols are very fast because some steps of each protocol are performed with microwave irradiation. In this way, we can reduce the time of the spatial stain.
Another question for you, Lisa, is this one, again about tissue processing. Is it possible to process samples with different thickness, like 1, 2, and 3 millimeters simultaneously in the same run?
Yes, it's possible. If you have an example in these batches, sample with 1 millimeter, 2 millimeter, or 3 millimeter of thickness, you have to select on board the protocol for the sample with the maximum thickness. So you have to select an example 3 millimeter protocol. In this way, you can process the entire and heterogeneous batch only in one run.
Thank you, Lisa. I think that time is running out. So for all the questions that have not been answered live, we will reply by separate email in the following days. Now let me share a final slide with a few information. Okay, in this slide you can see our contacts. So if you want to receive any material from us, please do not hesitate to contact us. Also, as Lisa already told you, the application team is always available to organize a virtual demo in order to provide demonstration, consultations, and solutions through face-to-face conversation. So you could virtually enter in our lab, as you've seen today. This webinar will be available for on-demand reviewing starting from tomorrow, and you will receive an email message when the webinar is available. There will be new educational webinars in the second half of this year, starting from September. So if you wish to keep up to date with Milestone live events, just check our website and follow us on our social network. Thank you again for watching and participating. We hope to see you all next time. Goodbye and arrivederci.
Thank you for your participating and goodbye.